Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Great Day Houston. Think back to your early adult years. Right after high school, if you got kicked out of the house, could you afford rent, food, transportation so you could get to work? That's a daily grind for most people, but especially for young adults 18 to 24. It's a particularly vulnerable time. Some just can't go back home until they get on their feet, and that could mean ending up on the streets. Joining us with how Covenant House provides a bridge to independence are Felicia Broussard, Jasmine, who knows firsthand how Covenant House can help change a life, and this year's gala honoree, Ellen Kokonos, who is a familiar name in the world of crucial nonprofit organizations. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
Let's start with how bad the problem is. Statistics show that among the homeless population is a growing number of young people.
That's right. Actually, 18 to 24-year-olds represent the first opportunity that a young adult would have in that age demographic to lose housing stability. And so they may have aged out of foster care, maybe suffered the loss of a parent, lost financial aid as they emerge into higher education, all sorts of reasons.
Yeah, when you say age out of foster care,
yes.
You understand that from your previous jobs that you had.
Right, I do. It's hard to unsee when you see all that going on with smaller children, but if they're not treated well and they're just let out of foster care at 18, they're going to unfortunately end up in places like Covenant House.
Yeah, and the streets first. And there's another statistic that says that a homeless youth on the street will be spotted within 15 minutes of being on the street by someone who wants to traffic them. And so there are also many hidden homeless youth, couch surfing, so you don't have a stable home. Most runaways leave to escape abuse or conflicts at home, and so they have no place else to go, and they're not prepared for, as Jasmine, we were just talking right before the show, not prepared for life on your own. Exactly. And I know my son was going to run away at 5 once, and I opened the door and said, "You just go right ahead." and then all of a sudden, can I have? No, you cannot have a thing. but even just understanding finances, and it looks like we can make it, but it's tough. Right. Explain your situation. You had come to Houston the first time, having to leave home, but what made you have to leave home?
Yes, so I had came to Houston for an opportunity for more. After growing up in my city and just experiencing life, even when my mom passing away, it was a time in my life where a scenery needed to change. And so I took a leap of faith and I came to Houston. And after that, being out here by myself, there was really no support, just being me here. So I kind of just I came to Covenant House after. Yeah.
There are some things that happen. We're going to get that in a second, because all it takes is one little misstep or one little thing to happen, and then you're playing catch up and you're treading water, and pretty soon you go under, right? And that's what happened with you at that point. We say Covenant House, it's comprehensive services. Right. So many times when we talk about the homeless in general, we say they just need a home. Right. It's more than that.
It's more than shelter.
Yeah, it's more than shelter. You do have emergency shelter, which is a safe haven when they need immediate shelter. But go through some of the programs that you have. For example, 22,000 nights of housing annually. You house up to 150 youth nightly, but let's start with transitional housing.
Absolutely. So the first interaction is actually through maybe our street outreach program, where our team goes out into the Houston community and looks for opportunities to bring young people into respite immediately so that they don't spend not one night on the street unsheltered. But from there, they meet us in the Youth Engagement Center, which is the first point of touch, and it also serves as a day center, drop-in center. Young people can come to us just to figure out what's next.
And sometimes that's a way to gain trust.
That is
well, because once you've been on the streets or coming from a home life that is not good, you don't trust anyone. So they establish trust, and then they can move on to bigger things that can basically support stability, like education and job training.
Yes, workforce development is absolutely critical to moving on to economic stability and housing permanency. And so you have to have a job or either be enrolled in higher education or some sort of degree or certification program in order to guarantee that your next steps are going to be solid and
Yeah,
stable.
you don't want to keep people where they are. You
That's
want to
right.
get them to
Move
where they
them
need
forward.
to be. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You also have physical and mental health care. That is critical
That's
as well,
critical.
because that's one thing that can cause someone to fall apart over and over again if they can't deal with some of those demons.
Right, and making a young person ready for adulthood means employability, life skills, honing in on their gifts and their talents, their God-given purpose. And so when young people like Jasmine come to our door, we see immediate need, but we also see that long-term trajectory that we're trying to redirect.
Yeah.
And so career and education services are critical to that.
And Ellen, as a CPS worker, social worker, when I talk about those demons, a lot of young people have dealt with a whole lot before they even get to 18.
Exactly. They're in a lot of pain. They're coming from families that are unstable, families are in prison. I think families are much more complicated than they ever were, which is very, very challenging for youth to overcome that. I think a lot of society also has expectations. Things are going to be fine. Things aren't as bad as what we think they are. And they are really, I think they're much more complicated than they've ever been for kids growing up.
Yeah, and Jasmine, like you talked about trying to find a place to start over again, especially after your mom fell apart. You came here once and then you realized, okay, this is not going to work. You went back home and kind of stayed with friends and things to save money, and then you came back. What drew you back to Houston, and what did you think you did differently that would sustain your life here?
Oh, what drew me back was this place being the fresh start. I knew I wanted to do it here, so I just, another leap of faith, just get back to Houston. And getting back here was the best thing that I could have ever done.
But you had a car?
Yeah,
so
I had
you
a
knew
car.
You had a car. If you had to stay in that car, you're going to stay in that car, but you had a car.
Absolutely.
And you had your things, and then something happened.
And then I was robbed at gunpoint. So it was devastating. It felt like I just took 10 steps backwards. And so my car was my shelter, and that was what was getting me through. So that just being swept under my feet was absolutely insane.
You're like, your quote was, I was actually on the streets of Houston in a
Yeah.
matter of seconds. Yeah. Did you know what to do? And take us through that first initial thought of, now what? Because I would imagine the fear has got to be overwhelming.
Absolutely not. I had no idea what to do, who to call, who to talk to. I even hesitated on calling the police to report my car. It's just such a moment of devastation, and everything was gone. So you really don't know. However, once you do get the resources, they're there, and they flood in.
Yeah, you found Covenant House,
Yes.
and you say they're the best at crisis comebacks, and you are a case of that. But you said finding Covenant House, to walk through those doors, what did that feel like, especially from what you had come from?
It felt really good. It felt like a safe haven. It felt like peace, honestly. It's so much community, and the walls are just filled with joy. I mean, you walk through the halls, and it's strategically designed for a youth like me to be able to laugh, smile, get resources, get up the next day, and just attack my
Have
life.
a plan for life. Yeah,
Exactly.
have a plan for life. All right, today you're an administrative assistant and receptionist at Covenant House. Right. She's like, amen, right? Yeah. And what are some of your other dreams and aspirations?
To be a public speaker,
Yeah.
to use my voice, motivational speaking, connecting with even just youth my age, letting them know, well, my story is a testimony, and it's not just for me. It helps other people.
Yeah.
So.
You're in Olden College?
I am. I'm an HCC Eagle studying business and economic development, so I'm going to use my certificate to, just enter into the business world and
Yeah.
do all those good things.
There are no limitations. You can do
Not at
whatever you
all.
want to do. All right. Ellen, you're one of those people who doesn't look to be honored, but you can't escape it because we all know some of the things that you've done. I mentioned earlier that you've been in the nonprofit world for a long time and have such a big heart for children. We talked about, being a social worker for CPS, but you also started the Children's Assessment Center, which is such a valuable thing in this city. Again, goes back to many of the kids who will go through that center may be those kids who may end up in Covenant House because of childhood trauma. But what is it in your heart that got laid on you early on that you love to support nonprofit organizations? In fact, your professional company does that.
Right. I just feel like I can have a vision for them, and I can help them realize what they're afraid to dream of, quite frankly. They're scared, they don't have confidence, they don't think they can find the resources or the funding. And I think at the assessment center, in building that with so many people, including yourself, because I know you've helped there so much, you know, we had a vision, we had a belief, and we had a lot of faith, really, that together we could really collaborate and pull together a much better system than what had been happening, which was cruel and that re-abused children. And so that's made I drive by there and I'm just enormously proud that it's an institution that has really overhauled the way sexually abused victims are treated in this community. However, it's not perfect, so sometimes kids leave foster care and CPS, and they do end up sort of lost and not knowing where to go. So I had seen Covenant House for a really long time. Being Greek Orthodox, I go to the church across the street, and it just needed, I was thinking, who is going to do something there? It's really horrible. And so luckily, Stan Merrick introduced me to Covenant House and to where they were, and they were thinking of relocating, they were thinking about all these things. They never had a vision or a dream of what could really be there.
Because they were focused on the 24/7 of immediately what's in front of your face of taking care of people.
And they were drowning in the numbers that were coming in and everybody that needed the services. So together, all of us there, not just me, we had a vision together, and with Felicia, with the whole team, you know, the place was reorganized and redeveloped, and now it can house so many more people and provide the much needed services in Houston.
Yeah, and they don't become invisible and stay invisible. They become the Jasmines who have dreams and can contribute to society and try to help other people who are going through a tough time. Tell us about the gala.
So the gala is entitled Unbreakable Gala because we recognize that even in adversity and challenge, there's beauty that builds resilience.
Yeah.
And that resilience comes across as an unbreakable spirit, like Jasmine and many other young people. Our difficult times create a stronger, more resilient and successful person in the future.
And it'll feature Lauren Daigle,
Lauren
contemporary
Daigle is
Christian
our
singer.
Grammy award-winning Christian singer, and Ellen is our honoree this year.
And it's interesting when they say, you know, Lauren Daigle, Grammy Award winner, Christian singer. She's, you know, crossing all the charts. Dove Award winner, American Music Award winner, and the whole bit. But what people might not know about her is that she's a great spirit to perform here. She speaks on navigating a rock bottom herself. She suffered an autoimmune disease, severe anxiety, depression, and panic attacks. All those things that can put any young person on the street in a minute, right? And so, what a great person to have there. Thank you all so very much for what you do. And like I said, you know, 24/7, there are young people out there who need help, and this is that critical state. We focus a lot on the younger kids, as we should, but they have somewhat of a safety net. It's that 18 to 24 that we have to get launched. All right, thank you very much. To learn more about the Covenant House and their upcoming gala, visit covenanthouse.tx.org, covenanthouse.tx.org.